Okay, as promised, here's the next episode. Previous episode was all about getting this garden done, whole nother stage. But anyway, here we have one of the first plants we're going to plant out here, Monstera deliciosa. It is such a wonderful plant with these big, giant Swiss cheese leaves. They call it Swiss cheese because it has these openings here. And so the plant's native to Central America and southern Mexico, extreme southern Mexico, where it grows in the rainforests. And its whole strategy, like all of the, or not all, but most of these aroids, this aroid family, a lot of these plants, what they do is they sprout at the bottom of the rainforest where it's extremely dark. And, darkness means, no good for plants. They can't make energy. They can't really thrive. So what are they trying to do? They're trying to get up into the light any way they can. And the way that this plant does this, and many others, is it will wander around until it finds a tree. When it finds a tree, it starts to wrap these ropes around the tree, and it will climb the tree. And then it'll get really vigorous and really thick because it'll get more light. Here, I'll probably kind of keep it on the ground in sort of a frustrated state because I don't really want it to climb my trees because all the trees in the vicinity are nursery trees that I'll have to sell to someone someday. But anyway, there's a bunch of different. This is Monstera deliciosa. There are several other species of this plant, but it's just so cool how it makes these holes in the leaves. Now, it's actually really drought tolerant. It's surprisingly drought tolerant because it has this stalk, which seems to hold water. I think the strategy, it had to become drought tolerant because if you think about it, if it climbs up into trees, if there's a drought, it's going to dry off pretty quick up there. It's not like the ground is harboring moisture. There's a little bit of moisture in the bark of the tree, but not much. So you can see why it has to be able to handle periodic drought. So this is one of these really lush-looking plants, extremely lush-looking plants that is very surprisingly drought tolerant. And that's kind of like what I'm all about because California, we have water is expensive and, there's an environmental toll to using it every gallon you use. So we want our paradise, but we want to try to use as little water as possible. So this is a good plant to do it with. Now, what else to say about this plant? It's probably hardy to maybe the upper 20s, and it'll probably sprout back from temperatures a little bit below that. I think you get into the lower 20s and the teens and you're asking for death. So you'd have to cover it in that sense. But here's the other really cool thing about the plant. Like I mentioned, it is called the Swiss cheese plant. However, it makes a fruit that tastes nothing like Swiss cheese. It tastes like a combination of banana and pineapple, maybe even coconut. And it's a real intriguing thing. I actually have a fruit inside right now I'm going to eat. It's not from this plant. This plant's not mature enough to make the fruit. But I've been waiting for this thing to ripen up. It has to ripen up almost like a banana or an avocado where you have to pick it and let it, kind of go through its ripening period. And it becomes really delicious, as the name implies, Monstera deliciosa. It's a monstrous plant that makes delicious fruit. So let's go inside and try this fruit. Ooh. I know. If you've never seen one before, it can be quite scary the first time. This is Monstera deliciosa, my friends, here. And I'm going to tell you how you can eat these. Yeah, here we go. So here's my breakfast of the day. I've got store-bought banana, a lime for my water, a Peruvian apple cactus fruit, which I have a video on. I'll put a link on the bottom. It's a wonderful fruit. And then store-bought mango that I have not very high hopes for. This came as part of a company called Imperfect Fruit that my wife signed up for. Every mango I've had from them has been horrible. But I keep trying. It's some environmental thing where they send you fruit that was going to get thrown away, and my wife thinks it's great, and I'm like, I don't know, honey. Whatever. But here we go. The star of the day. Monstera deliciosa. Meet Monstera. So, yes, it does have a phallic shape. There could be lots of jokes I could make. I'm not going to. I'm going to try not to. It is tempting, though. So, Anyway, here you go. So this fruit actually has some oxalates in it. You know what oxalates are? Oxalates are little crystalline structures. It's a new word to me too. Don't feel bad. This is what you get from Wikipedia. It tells you everything you need to know and maybe some things you don't. But in this case, the oxalates are these little crystals, and in the unripened part of the fruit, like up on the tip, which is not quite ready to consume because it's not soft yet. It's pretty hard, but down here is a little softer. And it's the soft part that you want to eat, and the oxalates are in the hard part. So the hard part does not want to be eaten quite yet. So you have to kind of eat this thing inch by inch as it ripens from the bottom to the top. And what else do we have to say about it? As it ripens, like there's a sweet section in the middle that's really nice, and then where it ripened earlier is kind of nasty. And then, like I said, the front tip part is off limits until it too gets soft. And so otherwise you're gonna burn your mouth with these oxalates. I think they're oxalates. Anyway, they're crystals. Yeah, not the pretty kind either. So, but the crystals somehow go away once this thing ripens, and it has to sit on your counter, and just like a banana, it goes through its period of ripening. And you can put it in a bag because it's ethylene that ripens it, just like a banana or an avocado. So the trick is there's all these scales on it right here. When these scales start to pop up, that's when you know it's ripe. And here, let me get a close up here. So this is how you disrobe this item. These things come off, and look, the inside is kind of like corn, and that's the part that you eat, okay? So ideally, the skin will come off separated from the fruit, which is happening here a little bit. But in this case, with this handful, the fruit is attached to the skin. So you want to get rid of that skin. That skin can get in the way of enjoying the Monstera. So here you go. There's a little fruit right there. Oh gosh, so good. And such a delicate, tropical flavor. It literally tastes like a pina colada. It's like eating a pina colada. It's so good. And what's funny is that this plant, the fruit often go neglected because they get lost in there. People don't even know they're down there. This fruit is really easy to grow, assuming your temperatures stay above, at least 25, and ideally 30 degrees. 30 degrees, 25, if you're getting lows to 25 degrees, if this plant is down underneath bigger trees like queen palms and evergreen canopy, it's gonna do fine. It should do fine down there. As long as the 25 degrees doesn't sit there like that for like a week. If it just goes down to 25 degrees for, 3 or 4 hours at night, this plant might get a little messed up, but it's certainly not gonna die. And, see, I'm peeling off all the skin here real carefully, trying to separate the fruit from the skin. And then you can get it. Then the most pleasurable thing of all with this particular fruit is to really take a critical mouthful, not just a little bit at a time, because you'll get overwhelmed by that amazing flavor. Now, if you just have just a little bit at a time, it'll just be kind of like a tease. You really won't get the full effect from this wonderful piece of pleasure that the gods have bestowed upon us. And, if you've ever seen one of these and you were curious about it, you're not the only one, don't worry. Plenty of people see this and get curious. So that's what I'm trying to get through. It's nothing to be afraid of. There's plenty of pleasure to be had here. Oh yeah, so good. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Now I'm getting ready to take a big, giant bite, like I said, because then I'll be overwhelmed by the flavor and the texture, and I'll be in complete bliss. All right, there's a big old bite right here. Going in. so good. That's so good. It's so unexpected too. Something so scary looking could taste so good. That's pretty much all I have to tell you about that one. So anyway, have a good day. Next time you see this plant, if you're in Florida or someplace like that, a lot of times you'll see this plant just growing in a parking lot and being under neglect. And sometimes in California too, big swaths of it. And when you're there, as long as it's not someone's private garden or something, it looks like the kind of place that wouldn't be an issue. It's being neglected. Look down in between the leaves. Look for some something that looks really kind of phallic and green and pointed. And if they're nice and fat, pick them off, take them home, let them ripen up, and you too will enjoy the wonderful pleasure of this amazing fruit. And I will put a couple links of a couple of videos I have of this fruit, well, this vine growing, where I didn't really talk so much about the fruit. I mainly talked about the growing habits of this plant. There you go.